I'm going to try and do this 322 breakdown now and show you what I think is significant about this number. And yes, we're back to pirates again. Let's just look at the gematrinator with pirates. 88, 101, an 11, and an 88. Okay, or you just leave it as 101. So let's hang on a minute. Let's just look at the symbolism here. Okay, we've got X marks the spot. This is where the treasure is buried. The treasure at the center of the cross is balance. The cross is a symbol of balance. Okay, that's what you're trying to find. You know, this is the four aspects of nature balanced at one point. This is, again, we're back to the dam. The X marks the spot, the place you're going to come out of. What you need to come out of is the A for Adam and the V for Eve. Okay. Interestingly, they've used the leg end here, the leg bone, the leg end, and the legend. Again, we've just been discussing the legends in the Super Bowl, and now the leg end is again another reference back to the flux capacitor, the Y. This is a society at Yale, the Y of Yale, the flux capacitor, that same place, the cup of Christ, the place where you're going to be born from, the womb. That's what the Y is. That's where the legs end, at the center of that point, which is the womb. You know, Lake Mead forms that that triskelion, like the Isle of Man logo. Okay, so we're using things in here which reference other things. You know, I mean, I don't really want to whiffle waffle on too much about this. You know, I had some, we did some talking in the comments with other people. Jimmy mentioned that you can get 777 out of this. You can add it up. This sums to 7, and you can add it 3 different ways, because there's 3 different combinations you can make out of that. So you can get the 777. Somebody else mentioned to me apologize, I can't remember the name, but this is the date the Georgia Guidestones were, I don't know, unveiled. March the 22nd. And that, can't think off the top of my head, but that is very close to the start of the year in terms of oh boy, very close to start of the year in terms of the Julian calendar, and it's also around the date of the equinox there as well. So just some interesting things right there. I don't want to get too bogged down with this, because really what I want to do is quickly look at this number, and it's going to take a little bit of explaining to figure that out. So I don't know what people really know about this, so we are going to go on to the Fibonacci sequence and Lucas numbers. And so a quick background on the Fibonacci sequence. This just encodes the golden ratio, which is phi, which is 1.618, yada yada yada. It's, you know, it's that number that you see that people go on about with shells and sunflowers and all that stuff. So this is what we're dealing with, right? Is a code here, a sequence of numbers that encodes those properties, right? And it's found all the way through nature. And so we can use that same sequence, but we can start it differently. We can start on the number 2 instead. And the reason why we would want to start on the number 2 is because we are living in a dual reality, if you like. We see things in black and white, where we have a physical reality and a metaphysical reality. And so this is why we might want to use the number 2 to start things off. And we do the same sequence, and it encodes phi 1.618 yada 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 just the same. well, not quite just the same, but it pretty much the same for all intents and purposes. So where I get to this is, if you saw my other videos, I've made a table out of some of these numbers, and I've added in a few extra columns here and there, and we get some interesting totals popping up. And we work around a cycle of 10, because this is what we work in maths. We like to work in the base 10s, I guess you'd call it. Although we don't have to be limited to working in that. We can work in other bases, but for what we do now in our reality, this is what we work in. So anyway, this forms a balance point right here between the 5 and the 6, right? And if we follow that balance point down, we've got a balance point between 5 and 8, and between 11 and 18. So numbers around this area are going to be significant in terms of giving us I don't know, a code for balance. Right, with that being said, you've probably already spotted off to the side here is 322. And all I want to say is 322 happens to just coincide with the 12, which is very significant in our reality, with numbers that we see in the world, you know, time, circles, calendars, all these kind of things. 12 is very significant, and 12 here in the Fibonacci sequence is also significant because we actually get a square number here. These are not square numbers down here, but 144 is the square of 12, which is special. It's just special, right? So if we drop down, this is a special number here, and this is why Jesus had 12 disciples, and there's 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 months in a year. If we drop down, this number here, the 322, is corresponding with this significance, with the specialness of this number here, with the specialness of this and this. We've got the excuse me, the 322 corresponding with that, and 322 corresponding with our perception of reality, duality, right? If I were to go through all these numbers now and divide these numbers back by 2, I'm going to come up with some random stuff. But when I get to this number here, I get to something special. Okay, because like I said, these numbers are encoding phi. Okay, and let's just have a quick look. Here's phi, 1.618033988, yada yada yada. And interestingly enough, we've got the 33 and the 88 encoded here in phi. But we want to just concentrate on 1.61 or 1.618. And just out of interest, this number here is E, and this number here is pi, and you'll be familiar with pi. And E is on your calculator as well. It's the button which has got an E on it, funnily enough. And this is to do with growth in the universe or in reality, and of course this is to do with circles, etc. So phi is to do with, you know, the way things look, the way things are constructed in nature. So super interesting, right? Because this 1.61 or 161, if we go back to our Lucas numbers and we look at these numbers, if I divide these by 2, I'm not going to come up with anything special except at this point here. And this point here, let me show you the prime factors of 322. So if I divide 322 by 2, I've got 161, which is, again, we are back to this number, back to phi, 161. That is what I think is so special about the 322. That's really what I think is so special about it. And you will see other factors here, 7 and 23. Alright, so again, lucky number 7, you know, and 23. Super interesting. Super interesting, really. I don't really want to go into it too much more than that, actually, because I've got a whole bunch more stuff to show you to do with the calendar now. And I hope we've managed to anyway, hang on a minute, I'm losing my train of thought here. So before I get off of this, let's just go back to which one do I want to go back to? Let's go back to this one, and let's go back to this balance point, because in my chart that I make, this cross of Lorraine chart that I make, you have to go back. If you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about now, there are videos in the archive on this channel that that will tell you what I'm talking about, and it will be labeled cross of Lorraine or something like that. Now we're working as a complete cycle as 10, and so if we drop down here, we're going to say there's a balance point between 11 and 18, and in fact, if we talk in terms of phi 1.61 being the balance point, between each one of these numbers is a balance point in its own right, because if we divide this number by this number, we are going to get phi. We're going to find a balance point between these two numbers, right? That's the golden ratio. These two numbers balance each other in the golden ratio. I don't know if I'm making much sense right now, but anyway, for what we're concerned, which is base 10s, which is what we work in, so you know, why not just work in what we work in, because everything is tailored for what we are perceiving in reality, you know. There's no point. The more convoluted we make things, it doesn't need to be that you know, we don't need to make it complicated. This is already complicated enough anyway. So there's a balance point between 11 and 18. Now remember what I said about pirates and the 88 and the 101, the 11. We can't quite pull an 18 from there, but we're going to get onto that here in a minute. So where do I want to go from here? So we know that this number encodes phi, not only here between these two numbers, but also between this number and this number. Quite significant. Let's drop to the calendar now. Bearing in mind, keeping in the back of your mind this number here being phi, because this is going to crop up now, and I'm going to show you how it crops up. This 1118, and this is a number that I've been going on about, that I've seen in connection with what we were just talking about right at the start of the video, the fictional side of the system, the mother, the dam, and if you go back and look at my Hoover Dam videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's drop onto a calendar, and I got a calendar here that gives us days gone in the year and days left in the year, or days till the end of the year. Okay, so you follow that, and it gives us the date as well. This is a brilliant little calendar. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is, of course, we're going to go straight to the 322nd day of the year. Okay, that seems like the logical place to start. And so if we come to it, you'll start seeing some interesting stuff. The 43, which I've gone on about with the Dam Busters, and there's some other references to the 43, is the corresponding number to 322. 43 balances 322. Interestingly, 3, and if you sum the two twos, you get a 43 as well. I mean, that's getting a bit convoluted doing it that way, but if you add these two together, we're getting a full year. Alright, so these are two balanced numbers. So I'm just thinking about balance here, but we've got November, so we're the 11th month, and we're the 18th. So we're seeing the 1118 already here with this number. So the next thing to do is to look at another balanced number, which is going to be the reverse of this. So we're going to look at the inverse number, which will be 43rd day of the year. So let's scroll back up, jump onto the 43rd day of the year. I know this is painful, sorry, but okay. The 43rd day of the year, 322, balancing. This is interesting. We've got a date that's coming up quite soon. Actually, in a couple of days' time. This is, sorry, I should scroll up just a little bit further so you can see the month. This is the 12th of February. So it's 212. And with all the 21s that are going on this year, and the references to 21, blackjack, I just thought that was interesting that that date pops up, and that date is just another mirrored date. It's not terribly difficult to find mirrored dates, but it's not a proper mirrored date because we're, February's 2, the one forms a mirror, and then there's the other two there. So, but that's interesting. Where do I go from here on dates? I do apologise, hang on a minute. Let's go to August the 11th. That was interesting. August the 11th. We got a sort of reverse of that, 223, on another 811 day as well. So that was interesting. So instead of 322, we got 223. Gosh darn it, there were several little dates that I had in my head that were interesting. Let's go to March. We need to go to March the 22nd. That's what I wanted to reference. Yeah, March the 22nd was so the 322 here was the 81st day of the year. That's what I was trying to get at. So that's the 81st day of the year, and we got 284 left. So a reference to 84, which is 84 is a significant number as well. So if we flip back to 81 days left, that gives us our reference back to 81 days left. Where's 81? Oh, bloody hell. 81 days left is right here. That was it, yeah. And 81, that's what was so interesting about it, is the 322 references back to October the 11th, which is, again, 10/11. Another 101 date, but it's also, if you change October to the 8th month, 8/11, a reference to the 81, and a hidden 322 in there. Super interesting. I don't think there was anything else I wanted to talk about. That was it really with 322. So we have a date coming up actually in a day's time now, which is super interesting in terms of 322. Anyway, I'll try and do a bit of editing in this video and make it a bit shorter. But alright, hope that was interesting. But like I said, that number 322 is double phi. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers. Alright, bye.